So before I begin this video, I need to explain that this is going to be the last video that I do on Build the Terminator. I just really need to explain why. As a subscriber, I noticed that I was getting the issues very late compared to the newsagents. Other part works by this company, Hachette, I was getting them very early, and I just made inquiries as to why. Obviously, once I got the answer to that question, I could then make an informed choice whether I purchase this from the newsagents or I continue with my subscription. I wanted to know what the future held. Now, obviously, this is a build that's going to take over 2 years to complete, so I need to make sure I go into it. I've always said that I'm just going to trial this for about 5 or 6 issues, and after the events of the last couple of weeks, I've decided that I'm going to cancel it. I actually contacted them via their Facebook page, and very nice people on the Facebook page, well, adequate customer service, and they said that we can't answer your question fully. Could you send an email to this email address? And they gave me an email address, so I sent an email, and I waited over a week for a reply. No reply was received. So I went back to the Facebook group and I said, look, I'm sorry, I've not received a reply. They said, okay, fair enough, we will contact them, we will make it more urgent, you'll receive a call within 48 hours. 3 days later, still nothing. So I sent a slightly less polite, not a rude message, but slightly less polite message, and then I received a phone call from Johannesburg, South Africa. I think the lady's name was Emma, and I was talking to, explaining that, you know, what this is my situation, and all she kept telling me was it's a 28-day turnaround. And I was saying, explain to her, I understand it's 28 days. We receive 4 issues every 28 days, but I kept asking her why it's behind the newsagents. Are there any plans to get it ahead of the newsagents? Should I subscribe or cancel the subscription, go to the newsagents? And every question I asked, I was getting the reply, it's a 28-day turnaround. So obviously I was getting a little bit more frustrated, and I kept asking again. She kept giving me the same answer, and eventually she raised her voice to me. And I just reached the point where I thought, right, well, you raise your voice to me, you no longer deserve my business. So I cancelled the build, and I'm actually now looking into building something else instead. I had already made this video, so I've decided to release it. But as I say, unfortunately, it will be the last Build the Terminator video. For that, I apologise.
Motion elements. Motion elements.
So welcome to this third issue of Build the Terminator, and in this issue we'll be doing the components for the right arm and first finger. With the pieces you've received this issue, you will be able to assemble a new element for the Terminator T-800 Endoskeleton's right arm. Piece together the first articulated finger and use a diode tester kit to check the LED eyes are working perfectly. So my apologies, when I first recorded this, I actually used the wrong microphone, so I'm having to do a voiceover. For subsequent parts, I've actually re-recorded it, but obviously I can only open the package once. So here I am, I'm opening the package. I've actually enlisted the help. You see that yellow tray? I have noticed that there are some very small parts, so I've just been very careful. I want extra places to put things. They're tiny parts. If I should lose them, I won't be able to find them. Then we will be using a new screw, which I've made a separate section for in my pillbox. That's PM 3x8mm screws, and they are rather large. So once we've got the packaging off, obviously we'll try and keep these as gentle as we can. And the parts that we actually have is part 1 right arm component D, part 2 right arm component E, part 3 right component F, part 4 AAA battery holder, part 5 LED test circuit, part 6 2 by PM 3x8mm screw. There'll actually be one spare, so that will obviously go into the pillbox. Now the pieces 1, 2 and 3, they're metal, and the parts that are plastic, they're actually a mix of plastic and metal. So we've got piece 7, which is right hand first finger component A. Now that feels like it's plastic. 8 is right hand first finger component B. I think that's plastic. They're quite small and quite tough, so but the finish on them are so good actually, that if it's a coated plastic piece, sometimes you can't tell. So piece 9 is definitely metal, because it's a lot heavier, and that's the right hand first finger component C. Piece 10 again is metal, right hand first finger component D. Piece 11 right hand first finger component E, that's definitely metal. And then we have 3, part 12 is articulated connector A, and they've got little holes in them, and like a female connector. And then piece 13, 3 articulated connector B's, they've got like a male connector on them, very similar to part 12, but with a male connector as opposed to a female connector. Okay, so for stages 1, 2 and 3 we're going to need 4 components, which is piece 1, 2, 3 and 6. Now because the magazine is written in English, we have a tendency to read from left to right. However, I've actually found it easier if we work from the right to the left, and by that what I mean is, instead of putting 1 onto 2 then onto 3 onto 6, we take part 6, which is the screw, and we're going to pop that onto piece number 3, and we just need to pop that through like so, and then we'll pop piece 2 over the top like so, and we're placing the small hole, not the large hole, and then we just hold that, and then when we get piece number 1 we see there's a screw hole in the middle there that wants to go over that screw, and just bring piece 2 up a little bit just to plug that gap there, and then we can, I've actually lost the screw thread now with the screwdriver, and it is quite difficult to find because you're doing it by feel. I think that's done it, or maybe not. There we have. So, oh dear, I'm struggling to find the screw hole. There we go. We just screw that until it gets a bit tight. We just check the tightness, and there we go. I'm happy with that. So as I say, we have a tendency to read from this side across, so we'd have gone this piece, this piece, this piece, and then the screw. I'm finding it easier. Step 2 actually has a blue arrow pointing that way. That is the order that I would go in. Okay, so stage 4 and 5 is just very simply a battery box, which we're just going to pop some batteries in. So the first thing I'm going to do is make sure that the off switch is actually in the off position, and then all I'm going to do is just remove this screw like so,
And we can see I've actually been able to go back to my favourite screwdriver because we don't need the length on the shaft. And there we go. Now I'm not endorsing any particular batteries. The only reason I'm using these particular ones are because when I went to the shops, I needed 3 AAA battery. Well, I actually needed 6 because these have come from a different project, and these were the only AAA ones in the shops. So I had 2 choices: take them or leave them. So I'm using these batteries simply because that was all they had. If they'd have had a cheaper brand, I would have used those instead. Okay, so that's stage 4 and 5 complete. Okay, so for stages 6, 7 and 8, we need to take our battery box and we connect, because this is a larger connector, we just connect that to the circuit board. You might see that there's a little line there. There isn't one on this side, and that just slots into there nice and gently. Don't be too forceful on this because it is electronics. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get our LEDs from issue 1. You see I've just popped these into a piece of kitchen roll. And then what we will do is we will plug one into this small connector. Oops. And I have already checked these. I actually checked them in issue 1. I did a live stream and they did work. I wasn't actually aware during issue 1 that we were going to get this connector in issue 3, but you know, it doesn't hurt to connect them, to test them more than once. So we'll just switch that on, and there we can see that works. So what I'll do is I'll carefully remove this, so then we can do stage 8. It's quite awkward to remove because it's very small, so just pull that gently and then we'll pop the other one in. And if you've got bad eyesight like myself, you might find it difficult to see. It's not that I have bad eyesight, I actually have reading and driving glasses, and there we can see that we've got the other one working. So that's stage 6, 7 and 8 complete. Okay, for stage 9 it's asking us to lay the pieces out before we assemble them, which I'm actually really comfortable with. I like to do this anyway. So we have piece 7, and we can tell that's the one because that's got an oval shape on the top. So that's that one. Then we have piece number 8, and this is where I can confirm they are correct because piece 8 has an oval male connector, and that fits into there. So we now know that that is definitely the correct part. And what I also like to do is I like to try to fit them incorrectly to see if it makes a difference. And at this stage, I don't think it does. Then we have piece number 9, and we can tell the difference between piece number 9 and piece number 10. Because piece 10 has a longer middle piece. So looking at the instructions, it looks like it's going to go that way, followed by piece number 10, followed by piece number 11, and then we have the 3 male connectors, the 3 female connectors, I do apologise, and the female connectors are the ones with the holes in them. And then below them we will place the 3 female connectors, and I will just zoom those in a little bit, and we can see they're very small pieces. Like if I pop my fingertips there, you can see how small they are. Okay, so for stage step 10, we're going to take piece 7 and piece 8, and we're just going to pop this on. Obviously I've done this before because I've done the dry fitting, and that's step 10 complete. So for step 11, what we want to do is we want to take the piece from stage 10, we want to pop onto that piece number 9, and then we pop the first connector number 12 on. Whoops. Oh, a little bit fiddly. So that wants to go into there, and that doesn't want to go actually. Okay, that's taken a bit of effort, and that will slip onto there, and that will be locked into place with piece 13, which is the male part. Now the question I had, obviously I can see that that's a pivot point. I'm worried about these parts falling out, so my dilemma is, should I pop a little bit of glue on there? I'm not sure if it's going to be needed, but as you can see it does come out, so I'm actually going to leave this. It doesn't say in the magazine either to put glue in or to definitely not put glue in, so I really don't know what to do at this point, so I'm going to leave it. I can always add glue later on, but if I glue it in, and I shouldn't have done, I can't remove it. So that's step 11. Okay, so step 12, what they're asking us to do is to place the pieces like that, and we want another connector, and I'm thinking probably the easiest way to do it will be to pop the female connector in to piece 10, and that's stiff again. Then we can pop the piece in the previous part there, and then we could just pop piece 13, which is the male connector, into the top. We'll push that, and again that's got movement. That's actually a little bit more difficult to remove, but that's fine, I'm happy with that. Okay, so for step 13 we need this so that the bar is on the top, and this piece will go like that. So we're going to pop piece 12, the female connector is going to go through the top like, oh, that's a stiff one. See if I can just leverage that through. Oh dear, that doesn't want to go through. There we go, that's gone through, so at least we know that's not going to come out. So then we'll pop piece 11 in, and then we'll just finish that off with piece 13, which is the male connector. There you go. So that is a finger. I'm not going to show you steps 14 and the final picture, because it just shows you the completed stage. So basically that's what step 14 will look like, and then where it says stage complete, it just shows a picture that looks something like that. So that is the issue complete. Okay, so that's it for issue 3. Very happy with that issue. We have put together quite a few parts. I'm very happy that we've used all of the parts from this issue. Issues 1 and issue 2, we had a case of, here's a part, pop it to one side, we'll carry on with some more. That's not unusual with part works in my experience, but the downside is that we have made a completely different element. You know, we've got a bit there, bit there, bit there. Now I'm sure they will all come together, and of course this is still what I call the showcase stage. So the first 4 issues, obviously these are going to be quite prominent on the newsagent shelves. They want people to buy them, so they want to show off some nice parts, and they're doing that very nicely. So obviously issue 5 is going to be the test. Sometimes I find issue 5 and 6 a little bit duller. Doesn't destroy the whole build, and remember, we're in this for the entire build, not just the individual part work. So we don't want to get into the habit of saying I wasn't happy with that issue, that wasn't worth the money. We're looking at the complete build. So as it stands, I'm still happy to continue all the way to issue, is it 120? I keep forgetting how many issues there are. It might even be 100. I cannot remember. Nice magazine this week. The articles, it opens up with Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope. So I'm grabbed straight away. Everybody knows I'm a big Star Wars fan. And then it goes on to a nice little article about prosthetic limbs. 3D hands get the thumbs up, it says, and it goes on about 3D printed prosthetic limbs, and that's actually something that I have a personal interest with. I will try to find some more details for a future issue, but there is a charitable project out there where they ask people to 3D print prosthetic limbs for, maybe people in Africa, people that can't get hold of limbs. Maybe they don't have the money, or that area doesn't have the funding, and they ask people to excuse me, to print for them. And let's be fair here, what could be greater than the gift of giving someone the ability to make this part work, for example? How fantastic is that? So on the subject of helping people, I need to give out a massive shout out for Adrian Langley. I've actually been having problems with my printer this week. The weirdest problem ever. I didn't realize this. My printer, it's a 3-in-1 printer, scanner, copier. Now I have to scan the magazines in to show you them on the video. I've actually run out of blue ink, and for some strange reason Epson won't let me scan the magazine in because I don't have any ink. What ink has to do with scanning, I don't know. So Adrian Langley stepped up to the plate. Without any hesitation, he offered to help me out. So I am eternally grateful for that. So without Adrian Langley's help, you wouldn't be watching this issue now. So that's it for this week. I hope to see you next week. Hopefully by the time you see this video, my subscription copies 3, 4, 5 and 6 would have arrived, and then I'll get to know what the delivery schedule is like. So I'll be able to finalize it so that you get at least one video a week. So take care guys, and I will hopefully see you next week.
Motion element.